600,000 men per year, 58,000 men a month, 14,000 men a week, 2,000 men a day, 86 men per hour take their own lives. When you hear numbers like that, what do you think it's really telling us, not just about mental health, but how we've taught men to relate to pain, vulnerability, and connection?
Oh, what a question. Oh, um, you know, dealing with my own recent history, um, I dealt with a lot of death in my family. I lost my sister. I lost my dad. My sister in 2017. I lost my dad in 2019, and I lost my mom in 2020. So, uh, and I was dealing with a lot of grief and whatnot. And so I can definitely um, relate to some of that and just the struggles of, you know, dealing with a lot of death and uh, a lot of loss. I even really lost my the home that I lived in for nearly half my life. So um, it was a struggle to being forced to move out of that, and I was dealing with my own uh, grief and stresses and whatnot. I didn't know where I was going to end up, and I had to buckle down and just um, do what I could to make my life a little bit better. Lift myself up more. So hearing those statistics, it's very happy.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking, Kevin. And mentioning, you've lost your parents, mate, and your sister. I'm so sorry to hear that. It's always a tragedy, and it's heartbreaking to hear. When you lose a loved one, and I lost my dad back in 2020. But we have a growing epidemic right now, especially in young men. Men are three times more likely to take their own lives compared to women. What are some of the cultural or emotional factors that play into that statistic?
So I know that a lot of men are dealing with issues with dating and just a lot of pressures that are put on them. And I think what I'm so when I got into my situation, um, my uh, back when I was a teenager, I took a juggling class, and um, I thought it was just going to be fun, something to learn, something to improve my life, and just have fun with it. And but it became so much more. And um, then later on, I actually became a neuromuscular massage therapist. And so I learned all about the body then. And so I was able to put those two together later on when I had the my own grief and everything. And so when I um, had all that stuff going on with my life, I turned to juggling, back to juggling, and um, and that started the whole process of healing. It was really kind of amazing. I was able to uh, take what I knew and apply it into my own therapy rather than trying to go talk to somebody, which is often very hard for men to do, right? And so I decided I'm going to take action rather than talk. And so I did the juggling and I went back to it and I started juggling and it started to really transform uh, my life. I was feeling like I was in the dark side of the Force, taking from the Star Wars universe, and I didn't want to go Darth Vader on people, and so um, I decided, okay, so I'm going to do this juggling thing, and it was already changing how I was viewing life because it started to uh, create a dopamine release. And I think that's a big factor in what's going on with guys. They're not
Yeah.
getting those chemical releases of the happy hormones, and they're getting pressure put on them, and to do this, that, or the other, right? And so if we can get that going, if we can reboot their system, uh, and get them to be able to have some fun in their life. They need to have some fun, and they need
Yeah.
to be able to be creative and do some movement. Movement is a big factor in our mental and physical well-being, most definitely. I've dealt with all kinds of issues as a massage therapist, and soft tissue um, can, when we're in a fight or flight situation, our tissues will actually react to that, and they will actually harden into like crystallize and
Mm.
become very hard, stiff, and that's why we're always grabbing at different muscles or whatever, and or we might have a hip thing where we're walking a little funny, you know, maybe a knee is stiff or a hip, and that is all going to take a toll on the rest of our body. Our posture changes as we have mental stress, anxiety, depression. That changes how our bodies uh, move in space. So we're going to do a lot of this, right? This is a often perceived thing where people walk around like
Yeah.
this, and so then that puts more pressure because we're not in our center of gravity, and so if we can bring ourselves up into a more upright position, where juggling has to take place. We have to be upright in order to be able to juggle. And that
Yeah.
juggling is actually going to change how our brains function, believe it or not. It creates neuroplasticity, and it changes. So it's adding new gray matter and white matter to the brain when we're juggling, when we're learning to juggle. It's not just the juggling itself, it's the learning process of the juggling. And then what's happening is as we're going side to side, going back and forth, our eyes are using, are tracking those balls back and forth. And that actually is rooted in science using EMDR and bilateral stimulation. And
Wow.
so that's really stimulating a lot of different areas in our brains that are connected to anxiety, depression, even Parkinson's disease, uh, uh, dementia, and a whole list of other neurological issues. So
That is
juggling is going to uh, change how your brain sees things. It's going to change how it sees things because think of it as a computer system. You want to defragment the brain or your computer system, and that's going to make it function more appropriately.
Yeah, that you know what, that is fascinating, Kevin, that juggling can actually help with a lot of neurological disorders, in particular Parkinson's. My dad, um, he suffered with Parkinson's disease when he was alive, and it's just such a debilitating illness. And I'm curious, how did you discover juggling? How did this eventuate? You mentioned obviously, your past trauma, but how was that an outlook to be able to deal with the grief that you experienced?
I'll go back a little bit further when I was born. I have a particular health issue, and I'm not going to go into the details of it. But one detail that I will share is that um, the doctors told my mom that I may never walk or talk, and so luckily I did not get the memo for that, and I started doing my own thing, and I learned all the ride a bicycle and all that stuff, and um, uh, I was able to later on. I I had to be moved into homeschooling from public school because of bullying and some other factors, but mostly the bullying part was a the last straw, I would say. It's what told my parents, okay, we need to do something and move him into something somewhere else. And so they found homeschooling. And so a few years later, I had taken a class of juggling. And so as I was learning, I just did the step by step, and the teacher, I was being negative. I was saying, "Oh, I can't do this," yada yada yada, and the teacher basically said, "Well, if you're not gonna, you know, if you're gonna be negative, I'm not gonna keep teaching you." Uh, and I take a whole other approach, but I do keep you accountable within my program. But uh, as as I started learning and I started practicing more and more, it it created that dopamine rush, and I wanted to continue to practice. And so it's sort of like that gaming effect where you're playing like a video game, right? And as you level up, you're getting psyched up about it, right? You're like, oh man, yeah, I made it finally, right? And so that you get the same effect when you're learning a new step in the juggling, or a new trick, or a new pattern, or a new type of prop that you're working with. And so as I started learning that, I started practicing different types of juggling, different patterns, different everything. And I started to notice how my body was being developed, not just body, but the mind as well. The body and mind together was starting to develop into a different um, creature, right? And so I was able to uh, sense that, and I just started feeling like a completely more confidence, more self-esteem. Uh, I was able to do things that most people can't do, right? Because they don't practice it, obviously. But I was able to do it, and they weren't, and so it made me feel better, right? And so that alone, those endorphins, the dopamine rush, just all the feel good hormones, and the sense of being uh, having more focus in my life. In school, the teachers tried to say that I was daydreaming a lot. I wasn't really daydreaming, but I was definitely maybe not as focused as they wanted me to be, and maybe not as much as I could be, right? So as I learned to juggle, that was forcing me to focus more, because if I didn't focus, I was going to mess up, right? I was going to
Yes.
more, and just it wasn't gonna turn out right. And so
Yeah.
uh, then when I went into massage school, I decided that I was able to use juggling as a way to learn, let's say, for example, the range of motion, the different motions of the joints and whatnot. And so, and then later on, when I developed my own clinic, um, I did kind of play around with the idea of juggling therapy. I was like, this probably would be a very good therapy for people as a corrective exercise, and not just for play, but as something that would help the body re-educate itself. And so that's how I was thinking about it back then. Was more of a physical therapy type thing rather than just a mental thing. And then as I come back more to the present of having my emotional issues, um, that's where I was at. I was like, there's this is how I want to do my own therapy. And so after that,
Yeah.
I was like, this is something that I know that I can do and that I can help other people with. Now, how can I make this viable for the average person to learn? Now, what I had done was, now I'm a professional clown, and I've been that way since I was age 18. And I went to school and I did different things. I did different types of events, and I started um, kids and different people would try and show me how they could juggle. And sometimes it wasn't the actual kind of real juggling. It would be their own mock juggling. Okay. And so as um, I was kind of seeing this happen, I started teaching them how to juggle. And so just little step by steps here and there on the whim. I wasn't trying to make this into a thing. And then I decided, well, I could probably turn this into a thing for schools and library program. And so I
Yeah.
did a little step by step thing within a few library programs. And so that was sort of the the beginning of what Toss Catch Heal is. So that's my program now. It's called Toss Catch Heal,
Yeah.
and um, so using all of that I learned throughout the years, I started applying it to my program now, where just teaching step by step, breaking it down into smaller steps. I don't know if you're familiar with the Kaizen method.
The Kaizen principle as the Japanese proverb. Yes. Yeah, I am. Yep.
So it's basically taking that idea and applying small little steps to gradually build up into the full juggling, um, you know, method. And it's not just,
Yes.
I'm not just teaching juggling. I'm actually teaching body awareness, mental awareness. How are you feeling while you are um, doing these different movements? And just keeping you in the moment, keeping you aware of how you're feeling in that moment. Um,
Yeah.
and just being playful. Uh, we're as we get into our adult years, we're not as playful. We're not.
That's so true.
We're
Yeah.
stiff. We're
Yeah.
and like I said, our posture changes, and we're
Yeah.
constantly going forward. And so,
Yeah.
I mean, I just see people walking around, and I see it all the time where their posture is horrible, and their body mechanics are horrible, and it's not their fault. it's
Yeah.
just their environment and what has happened with their whole being. Um,
Yeah. It's interesting too, Kevin, because I had a female mental health advocate on my podcast last year, and she tragically lost her brother to suicide. Her name's Samantha Wood, an amazing person and what she's doing for men's mental health. And one of the things we were talking about is male depression gets treated like female depression, when all men want to do and feel is they want to feel capable and powerful. And it's that saying, give a man a purpose and the ability to achieve it, and he will crawl over broken glass with a smile. And I sort of think about the Blitz. I don't know if you were familiar with the Blitz that happened in World War II. Are you familiar with that story?
just uh, vaguely, just I mean,
Yeah, yeah, and I spoke about this on a few podcast episodes, but the Blitz happened in World War II, and there was destruction and anarchy. And when the bombs were going off, you had these comatose patients that were just bedridden, had just been, completely locked in this body incarceration, didn't move, didn't speak because they were just shell shocked just from, war. Anyways, when the bombs went off, there was no one to drive essential service vehicles like fire trucks and paramedic ambulances and things like that. These men that were completely catatonic and comatose got up out of their beds and started driving fire engines and ambulances to rescue the casualties. And it's a pretty amazing and remarkable story because I think, you know, therapy is fantastic, but I think it's very much more in favor for women, whereas men are a little bit different. And I can imagine juggling, especially too, you would have to be in the present moment. And I think depression is focusing on the past, anxiety is focusing on the future, and juggling would be a skill to be able to keep you in the present moment. And what an interesting way of therapy. And how are people? Because you said I think I read you've spent over the last 40 years of experience
about,
helping
yeah,
people.
I'll say about 30 years. 30 years.
30 years. Yeah. And what have especially men, how have they come to overcome their own struggles and adversities with juggling?
So, um, so for the most part, those 30 years were spent as an entertainer versus the therapist. However, during my the massage therapy years, I was dealing with soft tissue manipulation, and I had a program called Bodywork Boot Camp, where I used um, uh, my knowledge of posture and posture assessment and corrective exercises, as well as the soft tissue manipulation, and just using all of what I understood about that, and I was feeling all kinds of different tissue qualities, I'll call it. And so I think a lot of guys, they really hold it up in, their neck, their shoulders. That's where it's most stiff, and then of course their low back. And so those are the main areas that guys hold their problems. I would
Yeah.
say women are probably more into the low back, hip area. Uh, and, obviously with other factors, some of it can be up into the shoulder area, but not as much. And so I think, but the guys just, there's a lot of times it's just so stiff that it's hard to get worked through. And so I used my technique. However, what happened was, and I had them coming weekly, and I was trying to count on them to do their homework during their time in between, and not everyone did that. So now
Yeah.
what I'm changing now with the toss catch heel is that I'm going to be working with someone 3 times a week and then
Right.
expect them to practice in between that time. But at least I'll have them doing it and being accountable to practicing. That's the
Yeah.
main factor, is that they have to practice. Otherwise, they're not going to not just get good at juggling, but
Yeah.
they're not going to find the benefits that happens in that time frame that they're practicing. And
Yeah.
doesn't require actually a lot of time. 30 minutes a day. That's it. And you can even break that down to 5 minutes at a time. 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. You don't have to just say, okay, 30 minutes. This is where it, just be playful. 5 minutes here,
Yeah.
it's there. As long as you get that 30 minutes range, that's doable. I mean, it'll happen. So
Yeah. 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 It's interesting. A lot of therapy, you would see them once a week, not 3 times a week. And that's the thing, you're working with these men, you know, and you have to keep them accountable. They need to do the exercises. Otherwise it's not going to work. It's not going to benefit. I've spoken about how exercise and mindfulness has, if not a better performance on mental health. It's been proven time and time again that pharmaceutical drugs, antidepressants, only just kind of numb the pain and of
covering it
and
up. They're covering it up.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
They're numbing the actual problem, until what happens is they have to take more and more and more of the drug, because the body compensates for that. And so then um, the drug is not as effective as it once was. And
yeah.
so it's almost pointless to even do the drug in the first place, even if it does do what it says.
Yeah. And I can imagine too, Kevin, because juggling is a mindfulness activity. You're in the moment. You can't be thinking about anything else. You're present, because if you're thinking about something else, you're not concentrating on the balls, coming down and catching. And I'm guessing that, people would start with 2 balls and then they work to 3 and then 4.
And
Start
actually,
with 1.
you start with one. That's where, give me 1 second.
Yeah, yeah, you're right.
And actually, what happened, what I start with now, I used to start with ball, but now I start with scarves.
Yeah.
Because what happens with scarves is it
Ah.
slows things down so that you're not so overwhelmed at the movement of it. But it is actually, scarves can actually be a very cardiovascular intense exercise if you want it to be.
Yeah.
And so let me
Yeah, yeah, show me.
make it very slow. Make it go fast. See that this is actually a full body exercise. This is not just working your arms, uh,
Yeah.
it's working the whole core. And that's where
Yeah.
the exercise really comes into play, is that it's working. When a couple years ago, I took um, some promotional video, and I don't know if you've ever seen one of those big like chairs that you can sit on, and it's like really oversized, um,
Yeah.
like one of those little bench seats. I sat on one of those, and I started juggling while sitting on it, and my legs were waving back and forth passively to
Yep.
dissipate the energy, right? And
Yeah.
so that
Yeah.
just shows how much the core is involved in juggling. So it's not just upper body with the arms uh, and shoulders and whatnot. It's the whole
Yeah.
core.
Yeah. And I can imagine too, Kevin, because you're using the scarves as well, because they drop a little bit slower, as you were mentioning too, it's slowing everything down. I guess it would be kind of therapeutic, yeah?
Yes, yes, absolutely. In fact, I want to state this fact. So when I teach uh, toss, catch, heel,
Yep.
I actually start with you dropping the prop on the floor,
Right.
and because that teaches several things. First of all, it teaches you how to track the prop. So as I just let it drop, this time it landed way out in front of me, and so I can't really reach it. Right, so it's
Yeah.
teaching me uh, muscle memory of where
Yeah.
to toss that prop into the air. So
Yep.
if I do it, now it's coming back closer to where I'm at. So I'm tracking
Yeah.
that. And the other factor is it teaches you don't worry about perfection. Worry about perfection. It's
Yep.
going to drop, regardless of how good you are. The best jugglers in the world, they drop the prop every so often. It's
Yep.
it's teaching you. It's teaching you how to juggle, and it's
Yeah.
a lot of other lessons in life. Basically, it's dropping the ball, right? Hey, I dropped.
Yeah.
You know, uh, all you can do is pick it up, start again. It's just like you know, you fall off the horse, you get back up and keep riding, right? So same
Yeah.
kind of concept. Dropping the ball, not a big deal. I dropped
Yeah.
I've actually, as a professional clown, I've actually made a career out of dropping the prop, and it makes all kinds of giggles. So,
Yeah. Especially with kids too, I'm guessing, yeah?
and
Yeah.
they love getting involved. They'll pick it up and hand it to me, and I drop another one, and yada yada yada. Right.
Yeah.
So it's a
Yeah.
fun activity, even if you're dropping the prop, and so
Yeah. A and, do you when you work with your clients, so you initially do you get them to start with scarves, and do you work up to balls or
hook up to balls, and so I use bean bags. And
Oh, okay.
for that. They don't roll away, first of all. And
Yeah.
it also, um, I use a specific kind of um, weighted beanbag in order to let it drop and that it doesn't roll away. And
Yeah.
it drops and just kind of sits there. And so
Yeah.
it's doing almost the same thing as the scarf. As it's
Yeah.
there, it's not rolling away unless um, unless something hits it, right? It's gonna move, but for the most part, it's just gonna sit there, and you can kind of get a feel for where it lands in space.
Yeah. How many objects can you juggle with?
I'm so for a while, I took a break from juggling, and so I'm not as proficient as a lot of other jugglers, or as where I feel that I should be. But I
Yeah.
don't worry about that. I don't worry about how many. I am working on 4 balls right now, um, and I'm working on some other things that, for my level of expertise, that that's where I want to kind of work with
Yeah.
clubs, rings. There's all types of other props like a good um, set of I don't know if you're know what a devil stick is. Those things where you
No.
back and forth. Sometimes they're lit on fire. You have 2 sticks and you're batting a baton back and forth, and it's kind of
Oh, yeah, I think yeah, I've seen those, yeah.
and so that's one of my favorite things, and one of the things I started with, and then I got better, um, more professional style ones over,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so I like to teach people that because it's sort of like a TikTok motion, and it's
Yeah.
seeing that rhythm. And rhythm is a very important factor in this therapy because we need
Yes.
rhythm in the body, and that's going to teach uh, the body how to release any kind of tension. It's going to teach the body it's safe now. It's safe to,
Mm.
and I don't have to worry about a lot of the other stressors out there, right? Uh,
Yeah.
and what has happened in the past. We're right now, right? We're
Yep.
right, and so um, using that motion is just like in the free ball cascade.
Yep.
Find what here's the bean bags. And like I said, I drop a lot. Man,
Yeah.
I'm not perfect. No one's perfect, but we want to work ourselves to more proficiency, of course, and that's going to
Yeah.
happen naturally. Just the more you practice, the more it's gonna be a little smoother, and you start using your head.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that interesting? I never would have thought like juggling could be something, so therapeutic. Because there's many things, Kevin, that we can do to help bring ourselves in the present moment. Like the whole thing with the ice bath is, the idea of jumping in cold water is it's kind of a shock to your body, but you have to be in the present moment. You have to focus on your breath. It's a mindfulness activity. I'm a martial artist, and when I'm grappling with a high level black belt, I'm not thinking about all the stresses that going on, with work related stress, or someone upset me, someone cut me off on the road. I'm not thinking about all those sorts of things. I'm in the present moment because I'm too worried about my neck getting strangled or my arm broken. And I'm guessing like juggling would have just such a profound effect because it is a skill. And as you said, which is fascinating, you're present but also aware of your body. And I've heard Tony Robbins say this as well, Kevin. He said, if you look at a depressed person, as you just mentioned, they'll be hunched over, slouched forward, shoulders round, poor posture. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yep. Exactly. Yep. But if you look at someone that's a little bit happier, shoulders back, chest up. Yeah, that's fascinating. That's so interesting. Have you talked to anybody about this? Have you actually spoken to anybody about the potential of working with any big organizations?
So no, so I a couple of years ago, before I really got this going, just after I kind of worked with myself and got myself back on track, with out of that dark side of the force. Um, I went to an organization, a physical therapy clinic that isn't too far away. It's within my um, town limits, and so um, they were curious about it, but it wasn't really um, in um, their business model. That's basically what they told me, and so basically they were kind of letting me down nicely. Uh,
Yeah.
and so that's really what motivated me to start really buckling down and doing the research, deeper research than I was doing before. And
Yeah.
um, so I really like. was asking a lot of deep questions. How is who are the people that this is going to help? And
Yeah.
um, what is the actual research around this? And so I really had to dig deep, a lot deeper than I was doing originally. And
Yeah.
because I didn't have all my ducks in a row when I went to that place. And I knew that. And I just wanted to see if they were willing to kind of hire me to do some physical therapy type of stuff, just using juggling as a movement exercise to get,
Yeah.
let's just say, one beanbag, tossing it up and letting it, just catching it, even
Yeah.
dropping or catching it, just like that. And then adding to that
Yeah.
as the person was ready. But they just weren't up for that. They wanted to rent me their space. That's really what
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah, I think too, Kevin, there would be a lot of people that you could also reach out to, especially with regards to men, because I think therapy for men, um, it's just not I don't think it really works in the same way it does for women. In my opinion, I think men are a little bit wired differently. We want to be doing things, and I heard this saying: women tend to bond face to face, whereas men tend to bond shoulder to shoulder. So if you think about like when a man is with a brotherhood, they're working together as a team, they're accomplishing a task, whether it be they go on a hunting trip, they're shoulder to shoulder. Men tend to bond a little bit differently than how women.
That's an interesting thing that you're bringing up because the beauty about juggling is not just a um, performance art. It's a healing art, and it's also a um, a sport. It's literally a sport. There's different kind. There's even something called combat juggling, and that's a
What's
whole.
combat juggling? What's that?
For example, they will have like an arena, sort of like a within like a mini soccer field. Let's just for example, and so
Yeah.
they will have um they will use they'll be juggling clubs and other people will try and knock your club out of your pattern. And
Yeah.
it's pretty rough, a little rougher than what it really sounds like, but uh
Yeah.
it's quite the sport. I haven't
Yeah.
done it. I haven't done it, but I've watched it. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, fascinating. And what has been some of the feedback and results from your clients with regards to your program?
I'm just getting started. Okay, I'll be honest. I just got started within the last 3 years. I've been just trying to explore things. I do have one pretty successful client. He is a CPA, and he came to me really to learn how to be a clown. But then I was telling him the benefits of learning how to juggle, and that
Yeah.
it's a good stress reliever. And knowing how CPAs are highly stressed, especially around tax season. Um, that puts a lot of pressure on them. And
Yeah.
so I was teaching him these methods in order to help him regulate his nervous system.
Wow.
And so I think he has really improved. And then once he got uh, pretty decent with it all, I actually hired him for a gig to entertain at um, a community picnic for children with um, myofascial cranial facial issues, condition,
Yes. Yep.
and um, and so he was just the hit of the picnic. I mean,
Wow.
he almost stole the limelight from me, but I'm happy about it. I'm happy
Yeah.
about it because it took pressure off of me, first of all, uh, and then just watching him with the children was just amazing. He was teaching
Yeah.
juggle, basically. I mean, he did it in a playful fashion. He wasn't like pressuring them how to do it, but he was doing it step by step with them. And
Yeah.
like, wow, I'm the one that triggered that.
Yeah, and it's probably a gratifying feeling as well, Kevin. Uh, to really make an impact, and I find it very fascinating. I never would have thought juggling could be something therapeutic, and then when I think about it and I like really analyze it for what it is, it's a mindfulness activity. And I can imagine like the research would back this up if they did a bit more study in it, that it would have such a profound effect on.
There's
Yeah.
much research that maybe doesn't exact some of there's some research that does back it up. Um, excuse me. Um, and then for juggling specifically, um, has some research that covers that helps relieve anxiety, depression, PTSD, things of that sort, particularly
Yeah.
young girls. But that was mostly the study. Or there was another study that was with medical students. Now you know that medical
Ah.
students are in a high pressure situation as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
They did a study on juggling. They had to do the control group, and then they had the other group that did the juggling, and they saw the results. And I can send you the that information if you like me.
Yeah. 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 And so, Kevin, people that want to reach out to you and maybe jump onto your program, in particular men as well, I think this could be something revolutionary. In my opinion, especially with men too, because I think we are failing men. We're just seeing more and more suicides.
Right.
Especially with that. That's
Sorry to interrupt you. But I wanted to bring up another thing that I did not cover earlier. So, um, juggling can be a sport with just yourself, or it can be as with the combat juggling, but you can also do team juggling where you're
you
passing
can.
objects
Yeah.
forth, and so that creates the that connection between two people because you have to be in that same rhythm, and you have to have that
Yeah.
vibe going, right?
Yeah.
And so that would be highly beneficial for men who don't have a lot of friends, that hang
Uh,
around them. And so you can create friends because I um I used to go to a roller rink when I was a teenager, and after I learned how to juggle, and I go skate for a while, and then I might go off into the corner and start juggling just for my own entertainment, not so much for other people. Um,
yeah.
and but I gained an audience, and so I was able to people would comment on it. Oh, that you're really good. Da, 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 da. And so, it created
Yeah.
that interaction, that socialization. That you
Yeah.
can do it on your own. You can do it, in your home. You can do it outside. That's the beauty is that you can do it in your own home. It doesn't take. You might want to move some furniture around if you don't have a lot of space. Um, but pretty much, you know, as long as you have some headspace, and
Yeah.
you don't even need that much space. Maybe when you're first learning, maybe about that tall, up
Yeah.
your head, and then you can actually start to bring it down a little bit, more
Yeah.
closer into the forehead area.
Or even like a park or going to the beach or something like that. Yeah, some sort of open space. Yeah.
It's another
Yeah.
factor for people that are into the mixed martial arts or any kind of athletics, fighters and whatnot. Um, you can use weighted balls, heavier balls to build up that strength in your shoulders and arms and whatnot. So
Yeah.
it's really only limited by your own imagination of how you're going to use juggling. And
Yeah. Well, Kevin, I'm very interested to hear, how this is going to progress, and it sounds like something that I think people should really hone in on. Especially I think a lot of professionals utilizing, a skill like juggling to really help, especially with trauma, PTSD, depression, anxiety. And mate, thank you very much for jumping on. But where can people find you, Kevin, and what do they need to do if they want to book in a program?
at coach.healthavenues, that's with a S, .com / toss catch heel, all one word, no spaces or anything like that. And or you can email me at jugglingtherapy@healthavenues.com.
Amazing. Fantastic. Kevin, thank you very much, mate. It was nice to sit down and chat with you, and especially showcasing, juggling as well. But yeah, mate, all the best in the future, and yeah, hopefully, you can get some more people involved, and speak to these professionals about this, because I think it would be really, really good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Kevin.
All right, thank you.